Amidst increasingly rough waters and brisk early autumn air, the team from Priestley Demolition is preparing for their next monumental job.
We're here at our Hope Island project, directly behind me. It's about 12 kilometers from here, about a 2.5-hour barge trip, and it's about a 20-minute boat ride. We're looking forward to it. It's a lighthouse, 2 houses, and a couple small generator buildings, and an actual concrete wharf where you park boats at now. That all has to come out. It's for the federal government, and basically we're going to return Hope Island, hopefully to the way it was before they ever built anything on Hope Island.
On the northeast side of the Great Lake Huron is the glacially formed Georgian Bay. In the southeastern region of that bay is a trio of islands of the Chippewa Nation. Hope Island is the northernmost of that trio. These islands have been part of the Chippewa traditional territory for centuries, a natural place of foraging, fishing, and hunting. The lighthouse was built in 1884, but once navigational lights along these shores were replaced with automated steel towers, the lighthouse structures fell into disrepair. Now they've all got to go, and the land returned to its native state.
We hired Galcon to provide the barge and the tugs, and that's how we're going to access the island. And that's going to hold the containers. The containers will be taken to the island, taken off, loaded with whatever material we have, garbage, concrete, whichever, loaded back on the barge, and then brought back to shore where a switch will be made, and then just maintain that.
With the barge assembled and loaded up, it's time for the Maiden Voyage. As the crew traverses the 12 kilometers of choppy water, they await their first up-close glimpse of their formidable foe. And on arrival, their first challenges present.
Well, it's definitely quite exciting to ride in the morning to get to work. We're going to come here, we're going to mow down the grass first so we can see what we're doing here. And then we're going to start this lighthouse. And then move on to the building behind it there and work our way around through the houses here and load her out onto the barge. With all the snakes and stuff over here, it keeps us entertained.
This place has even been called Snake Island at times due to the immense number of large water snakes and Massasauga rattlers residing on it. But that's not the biggest challenge.
Obviously, we're working around water, so there's extra environmental measures that you take. But I mean, aside from that, everything that we take down on the island has to be removed from the island. So that's all the garbage, all the concrete.
The first task with the barge on site will be to make the shoreline accessible for some of the smaller machinery. But don't fret, PDI's always got a solution. They've brought with them all the materials necessary to build an environmentally friendly temporary bridge.
Put them lengthways, Tyler.
The next assignment is to clear access to the main target, the lighthouse.
This sign, we'll have to save this sign and just put it off to one side. And I feel like we should hide it somewhere because
We'll get mixed up.
even in this area where we're going to be mowing down, you might want to just take a look. We don't want to run over any of these rocks because it will break the bush hog.
Nice and easy, it's hanging by a hair.
The crew mows down the overgrown shrubbery to gain access, while being mindful of not damaging any potential animal habitats. Fast forward to the end of a week of initial cleanup and abatement, and the crew has an open avenue to the lighthouse. They waste no time digging in. As one crew brings the lighthouse to its foundations, another attacks the concrete pier jetting out into the water. Work that is made a little bit trickier by having to work from the barge.
We're removing the wharf here, so we've got an excavator that's working off the barge, and he's removing the concrete deck, and then afterwards we'll remove the riprap and stone,
The stone's going to get relocated along the shoreline, sort of back to its natural state, and then any of the wood associated with the cribbing will be removed, and that'll be hauled off site. We only have a limited amount of time to work in the water, approximately 1 week. So we've been working the long days just to try and maximize the amount of stuff that we can get done, make the best of the weather that we have.
With the lighthouse reduced to a pile of rubble and the pier all but a memory, the team makes quick work of the remaining smaller buildings on site.
Right now we're into the foundation removal of the buildings. All the structural demolition's completed and we're removing all the foundations, processing up all the concrete so it's into sizable pieces to be shipped out.
As structures are demolished and junk material is created, the barge ferries it back to the mainland to be responsibly disposed of.
The barge is hauling pretty steady to haul the material off site. We try and haul 8 bins at a time, so in order to do that you need like 16 total. The barge loads up in the morning, he comes over, we offload all the empty bins, then reload with the full bins, and then they head back. And if they're able to, they'll start to load up some more empties onto the barge for the following day.
We needed to use the roll-off to pick up and move all the full bins that we have on the island because it gets too heavy for any of the machines. So that's how we load the full bins onto the barge. Loading and unloading has been a breeze. Everything's going smoothly and according to plan.
The PDI team is in the home stretch. They excavate the remaining foundations and commence with a final site cleanup. Materials are sorted and shipped out.
Carol, grab this bin, eh?
As the unusually warm weather gives way to something a little more seasonal, the finishing touches are completed.
So today's our last day on the island. We're back out to try and wrap up the final bits of the project. We have a little bit more cleanup. We're doing the final site grading of the site, so everything's going to be nice and smooth as if we weren't here. I guess this job brings a little more satisfaction than just your typical demolition where you'd remove a building and leave a site for a condo to be developed, whereas this site, you're putting it back to the way it was hundreds of years ago. We've had a fairly small crew here. It's mostly been a couple operators, and we've hired a few laborers from the Beausoleil First Nations. The island in the end is going to be turned back over to the Beausoleil First Nations, so it was nice to be able to have them incorporated with the project as well and help us out here.
The crew loads up and heads for home, leaving behind a legacy that won't soon be forgotten.
I grew up on Christian Island, and I would come over here with the family. The lighthouse served its purpose here on the island, but the time has come, and Priestley bringing it back to its original state is just awesome. It means a lot just to see it right now and it back to nature.
Hope Island has been returned to its pre-19th century roots and its owners, the Chippewa Nation. And it wouldn't have been possible without the dedication to environmental stewardship of the team at Priestley Demolition.